Namaste, my friend. We have been following the teachings of one of the great masters, and once we complete all these 40 steps with a clear understanding, you'll be able to think, speak, and act in meditation, from meditation. So, what is the result basically? The result is that it brings an end to the suffering. It brings an end to the suffering once and for all. Second is that ignorance is removed. What will happen when the ignorance is removed? Ignorance is the major cause of all our suffering. One example I could say just now before the beginning of a practice today. We experience pleasures and so-called happiness in the world with object, with people, with relationship, etc., etc. So we expect that we should not remove these pleasures that we receive from the world outside. But we want to remove all the suffering caused by the same word. Are you getting it? The word, same word, gives us pain and same word gives us pleasure. So we want our mind. When the mind is not qualified, it is not a seeker, then it creates a kind of a delusion. It says that I will continue to experience the pleasure with the people, with the objects, with the things. I want to continue that. But I don't want to continue the pain of suffering inflicted on me with the same object, people, things, and the world outside. How it is possible? So this confusion results in ignorance, and the ignorance causes the suffering. That is the biggest problem. So how to first is thing is to understand ignorance to knowledge. One, end of suffering once and for all. Now, bringing and permanent happiness and peace should be settled in the mind. Three things. So, what is the exact process? So, I have to discover what is the source of happiness. Is the source of happiness is in the world outside, or is the source of happiness is within me? So when the mind is settled in this knowledge and clarity, I am constantly aware. I live consciously that the source of happiness is within me, it is not outside. Even the pleasure that I experience in eating a certain kind of food, wearing a dress, driving a particular car, or with anything in the world, that too, that pleasure still comes from inside me. It has nothing to do with anyone outside, anything outside, any event outside, any situation outside. If our mind believes with the wrong idea that the Christmas celebration brings a joy in my life, that joy manifests from inside me. Otherwise, everyone would celebrate Christmas. They will leave all other celebration. Are you getting it? So this, because we feel, we so-called experience wrongly that the pleasure is coming from a situation, from an event, from a person, from a thing outside. So what is this confusion? This confusion is a delusion. So it means I should develop a new perception, new knowledge, new understanding, how to deal with the world outside, how to think, speak, and act with the world outside. So once we understand it and that is settled in the mind as a knowledge, as an awareness, the life will change. You may ask a question, what will happen to the trillions and millions of impressions? Mind is not going there. Mind is not picking up those impressions. So even if the trillions of impressions are there, that is the cause of the suffering. Mind is not going there. So when the mind is not going there, then what will happen? You are weakening those impressions of the mind that is seeking pleasure from the world because you are not attending to them. Oh my goodness, you are not, but this is again causes the confusion, is it? Let us see how it is possible. Close your eyes. You're following a knowledge. Instruction is a knowledge. So close your eyes is an instruction, is a knowledge. That is the lane number 2 of the mind. What is the lane number 1? You may have lot of thoughts going on. Let it continue. Don't worry. That is lane number 1. As if the mind is the highway and there are 3 lanes. Did you understand? So we are doing a practice with clarity, with understanding, with the right knowledge. That will take you deeper and deeper. Position of the body. Eyes are closed. Position of the body is comfortable. That is one thing. Eyes are closed. Second instruction. So that instruction is moving in the lane 2 of the mind. Lane number 1, unwanted, unwelcome thoughts are still coming. Let it come. You need not to pay attention to that. Your attention is on me and my instructions. Lane number 2 is basically an intellect because the moment you receive the... But there is also a lane number 3. Because of the knowledge, you become aware of the lane number 3, which is of the nature of peace and happiness, love and wisdom. That is what we are working today. So being comfortable. So all the instructions is nothing but the knowledge. So look at, mentally you are looking at the neck joint. Lane number 2 is the knowledge part. So you are looking at the shoulder joints or neck joint. First let us take the neck joint. Be there, you feel the sensation. comfort and steadiness. So that is the lane number 3. When you experience the sensation, comfort and steadiness. Lane number 1 is still active. Let it be active. Why your mind should not go there? Why you're listening to me, receiving the knowledge and moving to the lane number 3. Are you getting it? Highway of the mind, for example, for the sake of understanding, has 3 lanes. Lane number 1, you become aware of unwanted, unwelcome thoughts. They are coming and going. Let them come and go. When you dive into lane number 2, do you care about the lane number 1? You are simply aware. Lane number 2 is all the instructions, and lane number 3 is the result, experience. So when we claim the lane number 1 is the lane number 2, confusion, conflict, practice, knowledge fails. So look at the hip joint mentally. Instruction is the knowledge. Consciously your mind goes there. You are there and you feel the sensation, comfort and steadiness, my friend. So you see that your goal is to go to the lane number 3, but with the knowledge. Knowledge not coming from the lane number 1. Unwanted, unwelcome thoughts are constantly pouring into the lane number 1, and if you follow that lane, you cannot reach to the lane number 3. Why? You are not listening to what I am saying. That is lane number 2. Are you getting it? I believe so. So the entire body from you are looking, and now you see at this moment you experience sensation, comfort and steadiness. Lane number, you know it now. Is lane number 1 is still active? Yes, it is active, but you are weakening it. Why you are weakening it? Because you are not paying attention. So where your attention is, on my instruction, on the knowledge part, what is that lane? Lane number 2. It takes a lot of time to explain, but it does not take any time to become aware of it. Now see, when I say you to be carefree, these are the 2 common steps I always give in any and every meditation practices: being comfortable and being carefree. So what it means by being carefree in terms of the 3 lanes? How simple it is. Simple, what is that simple? Thoughts are coming and going. That is lane number 2. So when I say you are carefree, means what? You are not paying attention. You are aware of them. The thoughts are coming, lane number 1. Lane number 2, knowledge. What is the knowledge? Be carefree. What it means by being carefree? Let them come and let them go. So what is the result? Lane number 3. Where is the lane number 3? You are not affected, dictated, forced by any thought, idea, past images and impressions of the lane number 1. That is why you feel carefree. That is why you feel calmness. That is why you feel peace. Not because all the impressions have already released. It will be released by regular practice, and journey continues. Again I am saying, you are carefree. So how do you recognize that you are carefree? You are in the lane number 3 because you understood what it means by being carefree. It means being carefree from what is going on in the lane number 1. What is the expression of that knowledge? Let the thought come unwanted. Let the thought go unwanted, unwelcome thoughts. So the intellect is aware, it understood. The moment you have an understanding, the mind is not pushing you from the lane number 1, even in the midst of millions of impressions are there. Now let us move to the next step, being casual. I picked up this step couple of times, but now the time has come to be being casual. Casual means natural. Natural means you are not doing any effort. What it means, you are in a lane number 3. You are already calm and relaxed. You are aware that you are comfortable. Body is in the state of sensation, comfort. Body is in the state of sensation, comfort, and steadiness. The mind is carefree, means lane number 1 is there, but not affecting you, not affecting you. And so where you are in the lane number 3, what is the lane number 3? Your experience. What is your experience? Calmness, peace, even when the lane number 1 is active. That is the journey of what I say, journey of discernment and dispassion, my friends. So it is possible to be aware of the lane number 3, that is calmness and the peace, which is already there. So when the lane number 1 overpowers, we forget that we are in our nature is peace and happiness. That is what we discussed in the last 2 talks. Source of happiness is within us. Even the pleasure that we receive coming into contact with any person or any object, that pleasure is the manifestation of our real nature inside. It has nothing to do with any object or a person or a situation or a condition. So what happens when we start living in the same world? The lane number 2 becomes so active that it brings forth the past impressions of anxiety, of duality, of likes and dislikes, of jealousy and hatred, etc., etc. And then we start living with the lane number 1 of the mind. And that is the reason why knowledge is not fully realized. Ignorance is still there. Delusion is still there. So we have many steps. So let us pick up one step that you have been doing it. You are in a state of sensation, comfort, and steadiness. That indicates that you are still in the lane number 3 at one level. And then you are carefree, you are still in the lane number 3. So we go to the lane number 2 again, we put the knowledge there. What is that knowledge? Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. You are saying in your mind, Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. You already know We recite the mantra, you recite the mantra mentally. And the second stage of that is to understand, to have the knowledge. What is the meaning? The meaning, let everyone be happy. Now, from the meaning, we go to the knowledge. What is the knowledge? Where is the happiness? Is within me. Happiness is my essential nature. The moment you think and reflect like this, because of the knowledge and understanding, the mind slips and jumps into the lane number 3 and you experience that state. Why you don't experience that state permanently? Again, because the interference of the lane number 1, unwanted, unwelcome thoughts because of the past impressions, etc., etc. Did you get it? So again, discern these 3 lanes again. Thoughts are there, okay, thank you. That lane number 1 has unwanted, unwelcome thoughts, good, bad, high, low, likes and dislikes. So you simply thank them, that makes you aware that you are in the lane number 2. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. This is the knowledge you are putting in. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Lane number 2 of the mind. That's a knowledge. So with the meaning, what is the meaning? Let there be peace for all. May there peace for everyone. Whatever. And the knowledge part, peace is our essential nature. So it is within me. The moment you reflect, you think, you prevent the lane number 1 to overpower you. 1. And the second result is that you drop into the lane number 3. Are you getting it? If not, because I'm covering the practical aspects of the last 2 sessions that we have done. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Let there be completeness in all. That is the meaning. Why we should have a completeness. So you are still moving into the lane number 2. Even if the lane number 1 is active. You are putting it, why I'm seeking a completeness for in me and for in all. Completeness means wholeness, holiness. Completeness means the mind has nothing to run about anything. So it is not wandering mind. It is not obsessed. It is not seeking anything because I am complete in myself. So what happens then to the mind? That mind jumps into the lane number 3. It instantly indicates you the state of the calmness and the peace. So knowledge is realized. To realize the knowledge, the practice is not required. Practice is required to purify the mind, to remove the lane number 1. I won't say to remove, you can say, but another part you can say that to weaken that, to weaken the effect of the lane number 1. Are you getting it? Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. What is the meaning? Let there be an auspiciousness for all, for all, for all, for every, including me. So auspiciousness means knowledge plus joy. When the knowledge is realized, you live in joy. When the knowledge is not realized, you are not living in joy. Now let us go little deeper, so to say, little deeper. When you are aware of all the three lanes at this time, let me repeat it. Lane number 1, unwanted, unwelcome thoughts. Past impression triggers you. You experience. So, what is the experience of the lane number 3? I'm stressed, I have a problem, I have challenges. Now you introduce the knowledge on the lane number 2 that weakens the lane number 1. Result instant. Result is there of the calmness. Can it happen anytime, anywhere? Yes. With anyone? Yes. You already know it depends on we are the highest seeker. So now we will see how long we maintain an awareness of the lane number 2. And for that, what we do? We simply do the breath awareness and counting. So you are already aware that lane number 1, unwanted and unwelcome thoughts. So you don't worry about it. Then the lane number 2, the knowledge part. So what the knowledge part I am saying now? You look at the breath. You look at the breath going in and coming out. Do not change. Do not change just watch, feel, observe. Watch, feel, and observe. So what happens when you are watching? Watching is giving you the knowledge. Watching the breath is the knowledge. Feeling the sensation is the knowledge. Feeling the sensation of the breath is knowledge. So what happens? This knowing prevents to dictate, prevents the dictate of lane number 1. Result is lane number 3. What do you mean? Result is lane number 3. What is the result? Calmness. Why? You separated yourself, you separated. What you separated? That you are not the lane number 1. In the mind, by knowledge, by understanding, and if that happens, you continue to remain in the lane number 2 and the 3. Knowledge and understanding remains there, and then what happens? Even if any thought comes from the past, it remains dry, does not dictate you. You are still in calmness. Yes, in a way, many experts and teachers, they say it is a witness. It is witness of the breath. It's okay. I made it very simple. Lane number one overpowers you. You forget to being aware of the breath that is going in and out, feeling the sensation, no change in the rate and the rhythm of the breath. You are 100% clear. What do you mean by clear? Lane number two. How? By listening to me. What happens by listening? The knowledge goes into the lane number two. But if the knowledge goes on to over the lane number one, that causes the confusion. If the knowledge goes over the lane number one, causes confusion. That is why you explain to me that I'm not able to, etc., etc. I'm not going there. These lanes are independent, interconnected. That is okay, but still independent. That we say the lanes on the highways. They are independent, still they are interconnected. That you can switch on to the lane, different lanes, depending on the need that we are going to take up in the following session. So, understanding what you are doing, in a way, you are not doing anything. Not doing anything. You are with the knowledge. You are with the knowledge and understanding. What is that knowledge? What is that knowledge? Knowledge is simple. You recognize three lanes. Second lane. Understanding continues. What is that understanding? You are watching the breath. What is that understanding? You are simply watching the breath. So, what is happening to the breath? It is going in and out. No change. And for maximum, you feel the sensation. So, when it means you are separate from the breath, you realize. And that separates you from unwanted, unwelcome thoughts. You are aware. Aware means you are understanding. So, lane number two is the moment the mind leaves it, either you are absorbed into a deeper state of meditation, or the mind jumps to the lane number one. It says, no, I have a lot of thoughts and I'm confused, and what should I do? Or how to control these thoughts? And that is a self-defeating. Can we live in that awareness of the three lanes during the day and daily activities? The answer is yes. Definitely. And if you live into that state, what happens you can very well imagine. But now we will also do a little experiment on these three lanes with the knowledge. I told you before, the goal of the Eastern wisdom is to remove the ignorance that is the cause of the suffering, to bring an end to all kinds of suffering too. And third is to enter into the state of permanent peace, happiness, love, and wisdom that dwells within all of us. What covers the lane number one? Are you clear? So we return again and again to the lane number two. Are you doing anything to the lane number one of the mind? No. Unwanted, unwelcome thoughts are coming and going. You are watching. You're just watching. The moment they are coming, you are in the lane number two. So what you do the moment the breath goes in, just drop. Drop in one. The breath comes out. Drop out one. In two. To remain aware if the mind is present in the lane number two only. So the result you will experience, the result will definitely be the calmness and the peace. That is lane number three. So you go on counting the breath from 1 to 25. So how the lane number one interferes? It will change the rate of the breath. Do not change it. If you feel it has changed, do nothing for a while. Then again look at the breath and then start counting from 1. So you will recover, you will understand that how many times that crazy mind interfered. It's a very deeper practice, but so the same thing you can do during the day. But at present 1 to 25. When you complete 25, just do nothing for a while and see what happens. If not, you forget means there is nothing forget. You are still listening to me. The lane number one interferes because unwanted, unwelcome thought enters to the mind, and then you forget the lane number two, and then you know what happens. The previous two talks makes it very clear and the practice is based on the previous two talks. Happiness is in the world or not? How, why we have understood. And then we find out is the source of happiness is within us, deep within us. And the answer is yes. So what we are doing by the knowledge and the practice, I won't say that we are doing any practice, but still you can say it is a non-practice. The knowledge is playing a bigger role in the lane number two. So once you complete the counting without forgetting 1 to 25, you will experience that you are already in the lane number 3. A state of calmness and joy is already there. So it is coming from within you. It has nothing to do with any object, anything outside, my friend. So now let us use another way to check if the mind continues to remain on the lane number 2. They are independent. Why we forget? Lane number 1 overpowers, and that's why I'm here. So now when the breath goes in and out, let us do it once again, the counting 1 to 25, and then every time you are counting, you are discerning, separating yourself from the breath. The mind takes the cue from the lane number 2. It remains a witness to whatever is happening in the lane number 1. Then it does not disturb you. You are already separate and different from it. Result is the lane number 3, the calmness and the peace and the joy is there. Is it so simple? Now it should be very simple for you. Definitely it should be simple for you. After learning the two the main principle, the happiness is our essential nature in the last two talks. Source of happiness. That knowledge, you realize that you are not seeking anything from outside and still you experience the calmness and the peace and the joy is a testimony that happiness is the source of happiness is within me. You're counting the breath. So anytime you miss, so don't get upset. Okay, you miss it, you restart. Knowledge removes the ignorance. Practice removes the doubt in the mind about Now leave that step. It's more of a knowledge and understanding continues in the lane number 2. These are the symbolic ways to explain so that the knowledge is realized. Now the word Shanto Hum. Shanto means peace and Hum, I am. So what should we do? Bypass. You need not to worry about the body, position, sensation, comfort, and steadiness. And the breath. For the sake of doing, you're moving into the lane number 2. As you sing mentally, Shanto, you push the mind deep inside the cave of your heart, in the infinite space. As you're singing, Shan, or maybe pick up Om Shanti. So Om, moving the mind within in the cave of the heart, and when you may feel as if the mind seems to stop deep inside the cave of the heart in the space. The moment the mind seemingly stops, you drop Shanti. Om is the real self, I am peace. Same thing. So once you say this, moving on to the lane number 2, you will discover that now the mind does not want to go out. A kind of self-absorption is there. So when the self-absorption is there, do nothing. Remain in the state of doing nothing. Do nothing. Remain in that state, my friend. Again, when you feel, you become aware of the lane number 1, unwanted, unwelcome thought enters. Switch to the lane number 2. Start singing mentally, pushing the mind deep inside the cave of your heart, in the space. When the mind seemingly stops, you drop Shanti. So you are aware that as if, self-absorption is there. That will take you to the lane number 3, so do nothing. Remain as you are. As long as you are absorbed, so obviously you bypass the lane number 1. Pushing the mind deep inside the cave of your heart. Shanti. deeper. Pushing the mind means you are aware in the lane number 2, you are understanding. By singing Om, the mind keeps on looking deep inside the cave of your heart. What is it there? You may experience the space or emptiness or blankness. It's okay. What we are doing is that we are going too far from the lane number 1. We are not disturbing. We are not fighting with it. We are not creating any confusion there. Shanti, it brings a sense of or experience of which you say self-absorption. Just be there. Do nothing. You're aware. Lane number 1 has trillions of impressions we have accumulated, thinking, speaking, and acting in our daily life for so many years, plus the impressions forwarded from the previous birth. We'll talk about this previous birth, how it happens, and what exactly are the principles. So it has the trillions and millions of impressions. It contains both good impressions and the wrong impressions, negative and the positive, you can say, are causing the stress and causing the peace. But the lane number 2 is always available. What is that knowledge? What is knowledge? The opposite of ignorance, opposite of delusion. So you remember, you recall. What is the lane number 2? That is the natural state of the mind. What is the natural state of the mind? Calmness, peace, love, wisdom, truth. So what we are doing, the more and more you live with the lane number 2 and the 3, you are creating more and more positive impressions in your mind. Whereas it is going to weaken the lane number 1. The intensity by which you live in the knowledge, the same degree of intensity will weaken the lane number 1. Lane number 1, unwelcome, uninvited thought, feeling, images, past memories, impressions, and what I have done in the current life and the previous life. Lane number 2, how much you heard the teacher. 1 hour a week, never have time to contemplate and reflect. So you have more time to contemplate and reflect. You are increasing the resources. So when you have more resources to withstand the pressure of the lane number one, you continue to live into a state of the calmness and the peace in the lane number three. Well, if you didn't I believe you will understand it easily because it is based on the two talks that we had last 2 weeks. Pressure is more, resources are less, the lane number one will dominate. Resources are more, pressure is less, you are in peace and happiness. Simple, easy way. That is why the more we listen, contemplate, and reflect on these principles, simple and easy principles, it increases the resources, and the resources ultimately, what happens? The resources ultimately weaken the pressure of the lane number one, that what we claim as stress, suffering, anxiety, emotional bondage, emotional dependence, etc., etc. And couple of the messages that you have sent to me. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. You still a kind of self-absorption is there. You keep on checking the three lanes. The lane number one makes you hurry to return from the practice. Or are you totally absorbed and it takes time for you to return from the practice? You know the pointer of the success. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I'm not doing anything, I'm simply passing on the knowledge. So when I'm reciting this chant, it goes into the lane number two. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind or awareness on the right hand. It is knowledge. With that knowledge, you take the action. What is that action? You simply become aware of the right hand. Is that an action or just an awareness? It is just an awareness. Bring your mind to the left hand. That too is awareness. Now you can see the action part. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms. There what you are doing? Eyes are open inside the palms, but you recognize the knowledge, the understanding, and the experience. And then you bring your hands down and just stay there in that state for a couple of minutes without doing anything. Recognizes all the three lanes just after the meditation is going to go a long way.